Welcome to the Pizza Marketplace podcast. I'm Mandy Detwiler, editor of Pizza Marketplace, and I'm here today with Carl Comeaux, CEO and one of four partners for Crust Pizza Company out of Texas. Carl, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Mandy, for having me.
Tell us how Crust got its start. Who founded the brand, and kind of what's the origin story?
So the brand was started by two friends that were brought up in Katy, Texas, Clint and Mark, Clint Price and Mark Raspberry, and they've been friends from elementary school all the way through college. They ended up going separate routes after college. Mark went into mortgage business, and Clint went into software sales. And then in 2009, Mark ended up selling out of the mortgage business. And then they reconnected. They always talked about doing a pizzeria, and so they did. Initially, they thought they were going to go to North Carolina to start the brand. But after a failed lease attempt there, some friends from Houston said, "Hey, you need to come check out the Woodlands. It's a up and coming area. It's booming. We think that this area would be great for a concept like what you're wanting to start." And so they flew down to Houston, checked out the Woodlands, found the Panther Creek location, and that was in 2011. They signed that lease, and the rest is history. Now we have 30 locations, and um, and growing at a pace of this year should be 15 more. But yeah, that's how it got started.
Now, why pizza? Why not burgers or some other kind of food? Why pizza?
Because everybody loves pizza,
They
Mandy.
do.
Most people eat pizza at least once a month, right? And everybody from babies to, well, not babies, but toddlers to grandparents love pizza. So it's a great cuisine that you can enjoy with your family, either in a dining room setting or at your home.
Right. Everybody does love pizza, and everybody's
Yeah,
got their favorite pizza spot.
yeah, it's true. No, it's true. And that's what we are. We're the local pizzeria in the neighborhood, and so we don't want to be known as a franchise. We want to be known as that place that's local. We give back to the community that we're in. That's very important to us. And because at the end of the day, it has to be more than just unbelievable pizza. It needs to be that we're ingrained with the community that we're in.
What are the core values that define Crust? How do these values translate into the customer experience?
Yeah, so that's our values are important to us. When we're looking at franchisees, we make sure that they have the Crust values, because if they don't, then they won't make a good franchisee. And so first is commitment to giving back to the community, like I just mentioned, and that value, the activities are on a local level. We do spirit nights for schools, for churches, for charities. And so we love doing those on Monday nights. We give anywhere from 15 to 50% back to that charity or school, depending on what the spirit night is. And so that's a big way we ingrain with our community. Second, on a global level, we actually connected with St. Jude's this past year, which is near and dear to my heart. My son actually went through cancer over his 6 to 9 years old, so he's been cancer free for years.
Great.
And what's great is we connected with them, and we raised over $100,000 this year
Wonderful.
in doing a pizza of the month, 1 month, and then we also did a roundup and raised that money. So we're actually going to St. Jude's for his 1.5 year checkup in like 2 weeks, and they're going to present us the check, or we're going to present the check to them, and it's such a great place. St. Jude's is an amazing organization that once you walk those hallways, it's very humbling.
Now, how did you get involved with the company?
So I got involved with the company. I was a customer at first. I was actually introduced to the brand in 2016. I moved to the Woodlands from Katy, Texas, and we were moving into our new house. and the family was hungry for pizza. So I Googled pizza, and Crust was the first one that popped up with great reviews. Of course, you're always looking at the reviews to see who's the best in town. And so we ended up taking a couple pizzas, take out, and they were amazing. So then we ended up dining in and fell in love with the ambiance of the brand. And then from there, I ended up meeting Mark and Clint. At that time, I was scaling another concept in the juice and smoothie space, and we became friends. They wanted to scale the concept, but they didn't really know how. They just knew how to open up one at a time. And so that's where I came into play to help them with the tools to scale the concept. So they ended up starting the franchise, and I knew that fast forward 2.5 years, 2018-ish, I knew that I was going to be selling out of the juice and smoothie concept with my business partner, Nick. And I presented to them an offer of, hey, let me help you guys scale Crust. I'm moving back to Lake Charles, Louisiana, which is where my wife and I met, went to college, and I would love to help you guys scale it. And they turned me down because they looked at the demographics of Lake Charles and said, oh, that's terrible. That's nothing like the Woodlands. And I said, I understand, but you don't understand. We started a cell phone repair concept in Lake Charles, a fitness concept in Lake Charles, and a juice and smoothie. And they all did fantastic. So I said, look, even though it doesn't look good on paper, I'm telling you, this market is prime for a good pizza restaurant. And so they turned me down, and I went to my business partner, Nick. What we do is create concepts and scale. And so I told him, I said, the only thing I'm going to miss about the Woodlands is Crust Pizza. So let's create a pizza concept. And so we did. So we spent 9 months and 150 grand on creating Rush Pizza. We trademarked it. We did all the R&D you need to do to start a new brand. I mean, we do it right. It's not like starting a mom and pop. Like, we really thought about all the details, dotted all our I's, crossed all our T's, and then we're signing a lease in Lake Charles for Rush Pizza on a Friday. This is the Wednesday before the Friday, so 2 days before. I get a call from Clint. I hadn't talked to them in over 9 months since they told us no. And he said, hey, congratulations on selling your juice and smoothie concept. What are y'all doing now? Because I guess they had a PR article that came out that said, hey, Carl and Nick sold out of the juice and smoothie business. And I said, well, it's ironic you called me 2 days before I signed a lease for a pizza concept. And he said, you got to be kidding me. I said, no. I said, man, you guys turned us down, and I love pizza, and I want to keep on enjoying a good slice of pizza. There's nothing good in Lake Charles. And so he ended up saying, look, Mark and I changed our mind. We would like you guys to help us scale Crust Pizza. And so, of course, I had to go to Nick and tell him, hey, look, they have a few restaurants. The brand is amazing. And Nick had already tried Crust. He loved it. So we went to the landlord, and the landlord said, absolutely not. You guys are brilliant. You could create your own concept. You don't need any partners. And we had some bad partners previously. And so we were definitely wondering, should we just go ahead and do our own thing, or do we need to partner up with two founders like Mark and Clint? And I really felt my gut was telling me we need to partner with these guys if we could get the right deal. And so the landlord in Lake Charles, we had to convince him to go to Houston, meet Mark and Clint, try Crust. He fell in love with it, just like I did. And he said, hey, look, we'll give you guys 8 weeks to see if this is a viable option or not. And then you're either signing a lease for Rush or Crust. And so we started negotiations, and make a long story short, we ended up becoming equal partners with Mark and Clint. I became CEO. Nick is CTO, so he's the tech behind our business. And for the juice and smoothie business, we created our own tech. So the point of sale, the loyalty program, gift card, inventory management, you name it, it was all in-house. And so anyway, we're actually doing the same thing with Crush right now. But yeah, that's the story of how I got into Crust as a CEO and partner.
Sounds well thought out. You thought about it.
Yes, I did. And look, at the time, the menu wasn't scalable, Mandy. It had 60 plus menu items. So I condensed the menu down to 30. And we still have about 30. I think we added a couple items. So 32 items on the menu. We took it from 5 different pizza sizes down to 2. And we really we scaled things. I took the most popular items in each category, and that's where the menu came from.
Okay.
And guess what? Now the older stores, they've condensed their menu down quite a bit also. So it all worked out.
Now, are you guys franchising now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're franchising. We have 7 corporate locations and 23 franchised, and that's the route we're going. We're looking for owner operators right now at this stage of where we're at in growth. Eventually, we'll be looking for the multi-unit franchisees that own 10 to 15 other units for other concept that are looking for a second brand to sink their teeth into. But right now, at 30 locations, we're really looking for someone that is probably in corporate America, making 6 figures, and they're sick and tired of the hassle. They're usually working 55, 60 hours a week. So they fit the perfect person for us to become owner operators. They could control their own destiny. They become franchisees, business owners. And then from there, instead of working 55, 60 hours for someone else, they're doing it for themselves. And
Now,
we've had great success with those franchisees. And now they're opening their second and third location, which is fantastic. That's what we want. We don't want 100 franchisees and 100 locations, right? We want 25 franchisees and 100 locations.
what's going to make Crust stand out from other pizza places? What makes you guys Crust?
So first thing is the product. It's premium quality. I mean, our pizza. So let's just start with our dough. Our dough is fresh, made every 4 hours. Our sauces are all proprietary blends. Our pizza sauce, marinara, ranch, Alfredo. I know I'm missing a couple. Garlic butter. And so the sauces are amazing that you could put on the pizza or dip. Our cheese, we created our own proprietary cheese about a year ago. And when we did that, we were able to save 50 cents per pound in cheese.
Okay.
I tell everyone that we're not in the pizza business, we're in the cheese business. The cheese it makes the pizza, and it's the most expensive. It's the most expensive product on that pizza ingredient. And so we have an unbelievable deal with our manufacturer. And then of course it's a savings for the franchisees. Franchisees saved over 400 as a cumulative $400,000 for that deal of going to our own cheese this past year, which is a big deal.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly from our last chat, you guys are building your own POS system. Is that right?
Yes, yes. So we were supposed to launch next month, and we hit one hurdle that's going to push us back up for probably another 2 to 3 months. It just gives us a little bit more time to beat the system up to see if there's any glitches to fix before we launch. But yes, we are so close. We're excited to launch it across all stores, and then and then go from there. I mean, it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a point of sale. We're gonna have an app, gift card program, loyalty program, online ordering. It's gonna be really solid.
Now, why
I
are you
actually
building your
saw
own?
why because we currently use a big name that I'm not gonna say who it is, but
Sure.
we went to them and they swore that they were going to give us everything we want and needed. And they have an open API, which means that we could create technology and we could tie into their technology. So that way we're not just running off of a cookie cutter program like theirs. And we went down that road and we hit hurdle after hurdle where They just weren't delivering what we needed as fast as we needed, to a point where we felt like our hands were just tied behind our back and we couldn't do anything. And that was a bad feeling, especially coming from our previous concept where we had the flexibility to adjust that tech as we needed. And so we're spoiled to having what we want when we want with our technology, which at the end of the day, then it helps our franchisees make better decisions and they'll make more money. And so we finally went to that third party vendor and said, look, it's not working out. We're gonna pull our API and we're gonna start building our own. And that was roughly a year ago. And so we've been building for a year our own. Before that, we've already built our own CRM for franchising. So the whole development of building a franchise from sales all the way to opening units and supporting them, we already built that all out. So that's done. Now we're going to be on the customer side with the point of sale and then all the extra features I just mentioned. And so that's the reason for doing our own. We're going to have the flexibility we need and want.
Now, did you say you're opening 15 or 25? You're opening 15?
15. Yeah, the goal is 25 stores per year, Mandy.
Right.
At this point, everything's been organic growth. So customers that fall in love with the brand and then they become franchisees. We do have a couple multi-unit franchisees that have signed up this past year, which we're excited about. But we haven't spent $1 on advertising. So this will be the first year that we have a budget behind getting franchise leads, because we're looking to expand in about 6 to 8 new markets. And usually once the franchisee signs, it takes about a year for them to open up. And so usually whatever we sign this year is what we're going to open up next year. And so the goal is we need to get to 25 to 40 franchises sold in order to get to that 25 open per year. Okay. And that's our goal. Hopefully, I think we'll be there at 25 new openings per year in 2027. Okay. I think this year, like I said, 15. Next year, we'll probably be closer to 20. And then probably 2027, we'll get to that 25 number mark, because our goal is to have 250 locations in the next 9 years. And I will say, to get to 100 locations, it will take longer. But once you hit to 100, then to get to 250, it's going to take much less time.
Do you worry
you build some momentum?
Do you worry that you're growing too big too fast?
Yes. So we actually have been strategic on keeping our growth close to our home office of Houston. So we're not growing all over the nation. That would concern me because it would be hard to support them. So our focus is the Southeast. Mainly right now is Texas and Louisiana. And then we will eventually get to the Florida and up the Carolinas, across Tennessee and Arkansas. So we are working on getting there. But our main growth is Texas, Louisiana right now. I mean, in Texas by itself, we can do over 100 locations, easy. It's like its own country.
Sure. Now, I guess my last question would be, what advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur who's looking to start their own pizzeria? What would you tell them?
What would I tell them? I would tell them that find a business mentor that's in the restaurant space that they could get advice from to help them with their business plan, to make sure that they've crossed all their I's or crossed all their T's and dotted their I's. Because right now, Mandy, it is very tight. So I think of whenever I think of profit and loss and think of income, I think of a pizza pie. You could split it up. So you have your cost of goods that's going to range anywhere from 28 to 30%. But for somebody that's just starting, we have volume pricing at 28, 30%. For somebody that's just starting, that number is going to be probably 40%, 45%. That's 10 to 15% of that's profit for us that's not profit for them because they have to spend more money on COGS. And then payroll, the standard they should aim, including their manager, or if they're the manager, their salary plus payroll taxes should be around 25%. Then rent, they need to be in that 8 to 10% number. So most of our rents are around 10,000 to 12,000 a month, and so that once just those three things by itself, that's not including a lot of other expenses. Your income is probably squeezed to 15 to 20%, and so you're not dealing with big margins. So if you don't really do your due diligence on the front end, you'll open that restaurant and you'll be excited until you see that P&L and you realize, oh, I don't have any money left at the end of the month to pay my note. And so I highly recommend that if someone's starting a new pizzeria, just one location, that they get with a business consultant that specializes in restaurants, specifically pizza restaurants, and do a solid business plan to make sure they have room to pay all their expenses plus their debt.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us. This has been great.
Yes. Thank you, Mandy, for having me.
That'll do it for this episode of the Pizza Marketplace podcast, and we'll catch you next time.